picture this scenario. It is 2:00 a.m. You are in Los Angeles. Maybe you just wrapped up a massive double shift at work, or maybe you're leaving a venue in Hollywood after a show.
Mm
The adrenaline is fading, you're exhausted, and you really just want to go home and crash.
-hmm.
So you walk to your car, you reach into your pocket, and panic. Just cold, hard panic.
Oh, yeah, the worst feeling.
Right, the pocket is empty. Or, I mean, maybe even worse, you peer through the driver's side window and you see your keys sitting right there on the driver's side, just mocking you from behind the locked glass.
That is, yeah, that's a visceral stomach drop moment. And honestly, in a city like LA, that isn't just a minor inconvenience or a hassle. It's a genuine security vulnerability. You are effectively stranded.
Totally strange.
Because LA is just this sprawling beast of a city. It's not designed for pedestrians, especially at that hour. I mean, public transit isn't exactly a reliable backup at 2 in the morning.
Definitely not.
And standing on some dark street corner waiting for a ride share while your phone battery is at, like, 4%.
Yeah.
That is a position nobody wants to be in.
Exactly. It's the ultimate checkmate moment. The panic sets in immediately. And that is exactly what we are unpacking today on this deep dive. We aren't just talking about, keys and tumblers and door handles.
Right.
We are diving into the high-stakes logistics of automotive locksmithing. We're going to look at the technology inside these mobile workshops on wheels, how they actually make a key from scratch on the side of the road, and this is the big one, how to spot the difference between a pro and a predator.
It's fascinating because when you really look at the industry, it's a study in logistics, engineering, and really crisis management.
Yeah.
When we talk about fast service in Los Angeles, we aren't just talking about driving speed, though, dodging the 405 traffic is a skill in itself.
Oh, for sure.
It's about having the right inventory, the decoding technology, and the specialized skills to solve a really complex mechanical and digital puzzle in a parking lot.
In the dark. It really is crisis management. And before we get into the how and the tech of it all, we really have to talk about the who. If you find yourself in that 2:00 a.m. nightmare scenario we just described, you need a solution, not a gamble. You need a verified contact.
Absolutely.
And that is where our sponsor for this deep dive comes in, West Point Locksmith.
Right. They're pretty much the definition of the solution we're discussing today.
Exactly. So if you are in Los Angeles, you need to save this number right now. It's 310-295-4040. West Point Locksmith is fast, reliable, and professional. They serve all of Los Angeles 24/7 for home, business, and crucially for this topic, vehicle security. So if you're stranded, West Point Locksmith is who you call.
It's good to have that saved before you need it.
Exactly. Okay, so let's unpack this. When I think of a locksmith, I have this old school image of a guy with a coat hanger and maybe a Slim Jim, just sort of jiggling the door until it pops. But looking at the research, that seems pretty outdated.
It is wildly outdated. Using a coat hanger on a modern car is a great way to destroy the weather stripping or scratch the paint. Or even worse, you can easily disconnect the internal linkage rods inside the door, which causes hundreds of dollars in damage.
Oh, wow. So you're causing a bigger problem than the lockout.
Exactly. The modern automotive locksmith is essentially a mobile manufacturing plant combined with an IT department. We looked at a bunch of sources breaking down the mobile workshop concept. You have to understand, to solve a problem on the roadside, reliability means never having to drive back to the shop to get a part.
So they literally bring the whole shop to you.
They do. If you look at the setup of these professional vans, often these high-top models like the Renault Trafic or the Vivaro, they're designed so the technician can actually stand up inside them.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not just a storage unit. It's a fully lit, powered workspace.
Because, I wouldn't want someone trying to cut a precision key while hunched over in the back of the sedan with a flashlight in their mouth.
Precisely. And the inventory management is just mind-boggling. They aren't just carrying a few metal blanks. Think about how many different car models are on the road in LA alone. Right. They have to carry remotes for hundreds of popular models, the specific plastic shells, the transponder chips, and the batteries to power them all. And then there's the machinery. We aren't talking about hand files here.
So what are they using?
They have heavy-duty key cutting machines bolted right into the workbenches in the back of the van.
Like the machines you see at a local hardware store?
Much more advanced than that, actually.
Yeah.
We saw mentions of machines like the SEC E9 or these intricate laser cutters. These machines can cut keys by code.
Cut by code? What does that mean?
It means they aren't just tracing an old key. Tracing just copies all the wear and tear of the old key. When they cut by code, they are originating a factory-perfect key based on the car's original specifications. They even have grinding wheels right there to finish the blade. So when we talk about fast, It's fast because the manufacturing capability is literally sitting 10 feet away from your locked car.
That is wild. It's literally a factory on wheels. But here's where it gets really interesting for me. Let's say I didn't just lock my keys in the car. Let's say I lost them completely. I dropped them down a storm drain or they're just gone.
The total loss scenario.
Right. I have absolutely nothing to copy. How on earth does a locksmith make a key for a lock that is locked?
This is the magic of on-the-spot creation.
Hmm.
And it brings us to a tool that came up repeatedly in the research, the Leashy tool.
The Lishy tool. It sounds mysterious, like something out of a spy movie or something.
It really does. Visually, it looks kind of like a lockpick, but it has a grid stamped on the side and a little movable arm. And this is the critical distinction here. A professional locksmith isn't just trying to jiggle the lock open. They're using this tool to read the lock.
Reading the lock. What does that actually mean in practice?
Okay, so inside your car door lock, there are wafers, little metal plates that sit at different heights. When you insert the correct key, the cuts on the key push all those wafers to a uniform line, the shear line, which allows the cylinder to turn. When the wrong keys is in, the wafers stick out and catch the cylinder, preventing it from turning.
Right. That's basic mechanics. I'm with you.
Exactly. Now, the Lishy tool allows the locksmith to go in and feel each individual wafer inside the lock. By manipulating the tool, they can determine the exact depth of each wafer. They are decoding the numbers, the bittings, as they call them in the industry, that make up the key's shape.
So they're feeling around to find the numbers.
Yes, they might feel that the first wafer is a 2 depth, the second is a 4, and so on.
So they are essentially reverse engineering the key from the inside out.
That is exactly what they're doing. It's pure problem solving. Once they have those numbers, say it's a 2413 pattern, they walk back to the van, punch that exact code into the computer on the cutting machine, and the machine cuts a fresh key that works perfectly. It's an aha moment when you realize they aren't forcing the lock at all, they are mathematically solving it.
That is incredibly cool. I had no idea it was that precise. So they decode the mechanical lock, they cut the metal, and boom, you're in.
Mostly.
Oh, wait, hang on. My car isn't from 1990. It has a chip. Even if the metal turns, the car won't start without the computer saying yes, right?
Correct. And that is the second layer of the modern locksmith's job. It's a transition from metal to digital. Almost all modern cars use transponder chips or prox keys. You know, those push-to-start fobs you just leave in your pocket or your purse.
Right. If I try to start my car with just a plain metal key, the dashboard usually lights up with a security warning.
Exactly. The engine is immobilized because the car thinks it's being stolen. So simply cutting the metal blade gets you inside the car, but it's essentially a very heavy brick at that point.
Right.
To start it, the locksmith has to switch hats. They go from machinist to computer technician. They use sophisticated programmers. We saw mentions of tools like the Autel or the Smart Pro in the source material.
And these plug into the car somewhere.
Yes, they plug directly into your car's OBD port.
That's the port under the steering wheel, right? The one where the mechanic checks why the check engine light is on.
The very same one. They plug in, they talk to the car's ECU, the electronic control unit, and essentially they introduce the new key to the vehicle. They tell the car, hey, I have a new key here. Here is its digital signature. Please add this to the authorized list.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes they also had to go in and delete the old keys from the system so the lost ones can't be used to steal the car later.
That makes total sense. So reliability isn't just about showing up with a Slim Jim. It's about having the skills of a mechanic, a machinist, and a hacker all rolled into one person.
Ideally, yes. You need someone who understands the physical shear line of a wafer lock and the encryption protocol of a 2024 Toyota. And this is a massive but. Not everyone you find on Google has those skills.
Okay, let's pivot to the dark side. Because the research on this was genuinely alarming. We've established what a pro looks like. But there are a lot of predators out there waiting for people to get desperate.
Yes. This is known as the lead generation problem. And unfortunately, it is incredibly rampant in the locksmith industry, especially in major metros like Los Angeles.
How does it work? Walk us through the trap.
It starts with your search engine. You're panicked, you're standing on the curb at 2 a.m., you search locksmith near me, you see an ad with a generic name, maybe A1 Best Locksmith or something super vague like that, and a toll-free 800 number.
Okay.
You call it, thinking you're reaching a local shop in Santa Monica or downtown LA. In reality, you are routed to a massive call center, possibly in a different state or even a completely different country.
So I'm not even talking to the technician who is going to show up.
No, you're talking to a dispatcher who is just reading a script.
Yeah.
Their only goal is to capture the lead, so they quote you an incredibly low price to hook you. The classic bait is something like a $15 to $29 service call.
Which sounds amazing when you're stressed out and just want to go home. It sounds like a great deal.
It sounds too good to be true because it absolutely is. That dispatcher then sells your lead to an unlicensed or untrained subcontractor operating in your area. This person shows up in an unmarked vehicle, maybe with a magnetic sign slapped on the door if you're lucky,
Yeah.
and then the switch happens.
The price goes up?
It skyrockets. And they use technical jargon to justify it. One of the most common scams detailed in our sources is the commercial lock lie.
How does that one work?
The scammer looks at your standard car lock, or maybe your front door residential lock, shakes their head, and claims it's commercial grade or high security.
Just to charge more.
Exactly. They claim it can't be picked or decoded easily, so they have to charge hundreds of dollars for specialized labor. Or worse, because they don't actually have the skills or those leashy tools we just talked about, they go straight for the drill.
The drill. That just feels like a violation.
It is a violation. This is a huge red flag. A skilled pro with the right tools rarely needs to drill a standard lock. But these scammers often don't have the skills or the expensive equipment, so they literally drill out your lock, completely destroying it. Wow. And now you are forced to buy a new, completely overpriced lock from them right then and there.
That's infuriating. So they break your lock and then charge you an arm and a leg to replace the very thing they just broke.
Correct. It's essentially a hostage situation. You're locked out, you're tired, they're the only ones there, and they demand cash. Often they will insist on cash only, claiming their card machine is down, just to avoid credit card disputes later on.
This is exactly why having a verified contact is so crucial. You do not want to be Googling random 800 numbers when you're vulnerable. And I'm going to mention our sponsor again because this is exactly the kind of nightmare they prevent. West Point Locksmith. The number is 310-295-4040.
A local, trusted number.
Right. They have 5-star reviews, which is a massive trust indicator in this industry. They are fast, reliable, and professional locksmiths serving all of Los Angeles. From emergency lockouts to rekeying, smart locks, and car key replacements. They are available 24/7 to keep your home, business, and vehicle secure. You want a pro who can decode the lock with math, not someone who wants to take a power drill to your car door.
Absolutely. The difference between a $400 scam job that leaves you with a broken lock and a professional service call all comes down to vetting.
So let's talk about the reality of doing this job in Los Angeles. We defined fast and reliable earlier, but what does that actually look like on the ground? Because LA is huge. Traffic is a nightmare even on a good day.
Logistics in LA is a nightmare for literally any service business. Fast requires incredibly efficient dispatching and massive geographic coverage. A single van can't cover Long Beach and the San Fernando Valley effectively in the same hour.
Not a chance.
But reliability goes way beyond just speed. It's about the scope of the service provided. We found some really interesting details in the research about ignition repair.
Ignition repair? I thought we were just talking about losing your keys.
Well, sometimes the key works perfectly fine. It opens the door without an issue, but you put it in the ignition and it just won't turn. The ignition cylinder itself can seize up or break internally. The wafers inside actually wear down over time from the friction of the key.
I've actually had that happen to an old car of mine. I thought the steering wheel was just locked, but the key literally wouldn't budge no matter what I did.
Exactly. Now, the traditional solution to that problem is to call a tow truck, tow the car to a mechanic or a dealership, wait 3 days for a part to arrive, and then pay dealership labor rates. It's a massive ordeal.
And you're without a car that whole time, which in LA means you can't get anywhere.
Right. But a true, reliable mobile locksmith can actually rebuild or replace the ignition cylinder right there on the spot. They will disassemble the steering column, remove the cylinder, replace the worn wafers with fresh ones, and reassemble the whole thing.
Wait, so instead of a tow truck and a rental car, the locksmith just performs surgery in the driver's seat?
Exactly. Think about the time and money that saves the driver. No tow truck fee, no rental car, while you wait for the dealership to get around to it. And speaking of dealerships, that's another huge friction point. If you lose a modern remote head key or a flip key, the ones where the blade flips out like a switchblade, ordering a replacement from a dealer can take days. They often have to order it cut by VIN from a regional warehouse.
But the Mobile Pro can do it same day.
A mobile locksmith with the right inventory, like we talked about with those high-top vans, can generate that remote key immediately. They have the blanks, the chips, and the programmers on hand. Same-day key replacement. That is the true definition of reliable.
But we have to talk about cost. Because when people hear the real price of a legitimate locksmith, sometimes they experience major sticker shock, especially when they compare it to that fake $29 quote they saw online.
It is true, and we need to be realistic about it. According to sources like This Old House and various industry surveys, emergency after-hour service definitely commands a premium. You are generally looking at averages of $150 to $250 an hour or flat fees in that range, depending on the complexity of the car's security system.
Which is a significant amount of money for a lot of people to drop unexpectedly.
It is, but you have to contextualize the value you're getting. You aren't just paying for the 5 minutes it takes them to mathematically cut the key. You are paying for the technician's availability at 2 a.m. when everyone else is asleep. You're paying for the gas to get that heavy van to you. You're paying for the tens of thousands of dollars of equipment inside it, the programmers, the laser cutters, the vast inventory, and the commercial insurance that protects your car while they work on it.
That makes total sense when you break it down like that. You're paying for the capability to solve a complex problem instantly. The $29 guy isn't bringing $30,000 worth of high-tech equipment. He's bringing a drill and a hefty surprise bill on the back end.
Exactly. In project management, there's the old saying, fast, cheap, good pick two. But in an emergency lockout, you really only have one valid choice, fast and good. If you pick cheap, you usually lose the other two and end up paying way more in the long run to fix the damage.
So what does this all mean for us? If I'm the listener, driving around Los Angeles every day, how do I prepare so I don't get taken for a ride by a scammer?
The preparation has to happen before the emergency. That is the single most important takeaway from all the data and sources we looked at. Do not wait until you are stranded on a dark street to find a locksmith. Your judgment is compromised when you're panicked and stressed.
Right. Do your homework when you're sitting on your couch, safe and sound, not when you're standing in the rain at midnight.
Exactly. Find a local physical shop or a verified mobile service right now. Check their reviews on independent platforms. Look for consistent 5-star ratings. Verify they have a real local address or a state license number. And then, and this is key, save their number directly in your phone. Label it something obvious like locksmith emergency or car keys.
That is incredibly solid advice. It's exactly like insurance. You hope you never have to use it, but man, you're glad it's there when things go sideways. And honestly, I've got a suggestion for that exact contact entry right now. Save West Point Locksmith. I'll give you the number one more time. It's 310-295-4040. Put it in your phone. They cover emergency lockouts, car key replacements, ignition repair, all the complex logistics we just unpacked 24/7 in Los Angeles. Trust me, future you will definitely thank Present You if you're ever stuck in a parking garage.
It really is all about peace of mind. Knowing you have a seasoned professional, not a scammer, on speed dial changes the entire dynamic of that stressful situation. You go from feeling like I'm a victim to feeling like I'm handling this.
Absolutely. Now, before we sign off, I want to leave you with a thought that struck me while reading about the future of all this tech. We saw in the research that the automotive industry is trending heavily toward biometrics and app-based entry for cars. I mean, my phone is already my credit card, my boarding pass. Soon it'll just be my entire key ring.
Oh, it's definitely moving that way. Fingerprint scanners on door handles, facial recognition to start the engine. The tech is advancing incredibly rapidly.
Right. So as we move toward a world where we unlock cars with our faces or our smartwatches, will the physical locksmith eventually just become a specialized white hat hacker? Or will the mechanical backup, the actual physical metal key, always be necessary for that one inevitable day when the battery dies, the screen goes black, and the grid goes down? It really makes you wonder how long that coat hanger image will survive in our collective memory.
That is the ultimate question for the industry. But as long as batteries can die and software can glitch, I think we're going to need someone who understands the physical mechanics of metal and tumblers. You can't hack a dead battery, but you can always pick a lock.
I think you're absolutely right. The coat hanger might be gone, but the physical mechanics are here to stay. Thanks for unpacking this whole deep dive with us.
Always a pleasure. Stay safe out there.
See you next time on The Deep Dive.